Hi, I'm James Bruce from MakeUseOf.com, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Aliexpress.com and whether it's safe to shop on there. Now, there is an article accompanying this video. If you'd like to read that, click on the link up there to read that. It's written by someone else, not by me, and in this video I'll be adding in my own experiences and some other advice, but still there is an article if you'd like to read that. So first, let's look at a bit of background. What is AliExpress? You may have heard of Alibaba, which among other things is a massive Chinese business-to-business supplier. The sixth biggest technology company in the world, in fact. It's the place where companies will go when they want to buy 50,000 of a widget, either to resell in Western markets or to use in manufacturing their own version of the widget. However, Alibaba also has their fingers in the consumer side of the market. Now, in China, they have their own native Taobao.com. That's where Chinese people will go to buy cheap stuff online, a little bit like Amazon. And for the Western markets, they launched Aliexpress.com. So AliExpress is a collection of third-party sellers, a lot like eBay. eBay themselves aren't selling you something, there are a bunch of third-party other people who use the platform to sell to you. Unlike eBay, it's not an auction system, and a lot of the time you're going to be finding sort of factory outlets. The manufacturers selling to you directly. Now, anyone can list products on AliExpress, so just like eBay, when you shop on AliExpress, you need to do your own due diligence. Not all of the sellers there will be completely legit. Some will be selling counterfeit branded goods. Some will even be trying to commit outright fraud, just take your money without delivering anything. So a little common sense will go a long way. Just like on eBay, if you found something so ridiculously cheap and it was from a seller called XDGT1967, you'd probably ring some alarm bells and think, that might be an automated fake seller that's just listing products super cheap, taking your money, and then deleting their account and not delivering anything. Now sure, eBay will eventually take the seller down once they've had a number of reports that say, this is a fake seller, I didn't get anything, please refund my money. But at that point, they've already taken your money and run. Now you will likely get your money back. So the seller here is really defrauding eBay rather than you. You'll get your money back, eBay will end up paying the cost. Now AliExpress runs a similar system to that. They'll hold your money in escrow, which is where they keep your money essentially until you've told them, yes, this product has been delivered, you can hand my money over to the seller now. So before we go on, I think it's worth telling you about my own experience with AliExpress. Since I started shopping there maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I spend about $1,000 a year on there on various things from clothing to electronics. Now that's not a huge amount by any means, but it does mean that in those hundreds of orders, I've pretty much experienced everything that there is to experience on the platform. I've had non-delivery, I've had late delivery, I've had things that are wrong. So out of those hundreds of orders, I've only ever had one that was delivered outside of the 2 months delivery window. And that's because it was stuck in customs. Now, just as the delivery window expired, I opened up a dispute, told the seller I hadn't received anything. The tracking clearly showed it was stuck somewhere and not delivered. So they ended up sending out another one, and then a month later I ended up receiving 2 of the same item. I've also had orders that were made and just never delivered at all, and the tracking showed they weren't even sent out. So in that case, it probably was some kind of a fraud, but either way, I got my full refund back. I've also had products that were described as, say, 3 in a packet, and then when it was arrived, it was only 1 of the item. In that case, I messaged the sender, they apologized, said there'd been some sort of packing error at the warehouse, and a month later, another 2 arrived in the post, completing the order. Now, perhaps that was their game. Sell it as 3, only send 1, and only bother to send out another one if someone actually inquires and raises an issue. Who knows? Either way, I got the 3 I ordered. I've had something arrive just completely broken, like the box it was in got smashed around a bit. I don't know, the product was broken. I sent pictures to the seller and I opened a dispute, got a full refund. Things can go wrong, but typically you do have recourse to get your money back or to get satisfaction on your order. Like most things in life though, the key is not to be a complete about things. So how can you shop on AliExpress safely then? The first is to understand that standard Chinese shipping, the e-packet, which is going to come over a very slow boat on the ocean, is very slow. It's going to take up to about 45 days. The average I find is about 2 to 3 weeks, but again, it depends if it gets delayed. It could get stuck in customs, for instance, and may take up to 45 days, or in some cases even longer. You do need to be really patient. At some times of the year, however, things are going to take even longer. Between February and March, for instance, is the Chinese New Year, when literally everything in China shuts down for about 1 to 2 weeks. So your order won't even be dispatched until everyone comes back. Also, at the start of November is Singles Day, 11/11, and this is a massive sort of Black Friday shopping event. During that time, shops are heavily discounted, and they're likely to get sort of 10 times the volume they would normally get. So again, dispatching your items, sorting through all those orders will take a very long time. Last year, I ordered some stuff on 11th of November, hoping it would get here in time for Christmas, and a lot of it, probably about half of the stuff I ordered, didn't. It ended up coming sometime in January. That's just the nature of the game. Don't buy anything you need urgently. So first of all, don't panic. All of your orders on AliExpress have some degree of tracking information available. Even with the most basic free shipping services included with pretty much every order, you will get a tracking number. First trackable through the China Post website or through AliExpress itself, and once it reaches your country, that'll be via your local mail service, so Royal Mail in the UK or I think USPS in America. So check on the tracking first and you'll find one of two things. Either you've got a tracking point somewhere within China, or you'll find it's reached your country, or you'll find it hasn't even been dispatched yet. They're allowed about 10 days, I believe, in which to dispatch your order. So if you check a week after making your order, you may still find it actually hasn't been sent yet, so the tracking information still isn't available. If it's been over 2 weeks, I would probably message the sender and say, look, why hasn't this been dispatched yet? But you won't really be able to open up the formal dispute process until you get to the complete allotted shipping time, which is generally about 45 days, I think, but it depends on the seller. When you do open a dispute, it's really a very simple form. You just say, I haven't received my item yet, and then it asks you how you'd like to deal with it, and you say, I want a full refund. The seller then has about a day or two to respond, and if they don't, AliExpress will step in and provide a response for you, which generally means you just get a full refund. Now, if you have received your product, but you're unhappy with it some way, maybe it's broken or you received the wrong item, the best thing to do is to take pictures. In fact, take pictures before you even open it. Even if the box isn't damaged, just go ahead and take pictures of the shipping label, the packaging, then open it up and take pictures of what you find inside. Now, there is a time limit on how long you can open this buyer dispute for, but in my experience, even if that time limit has expired, you can still open a dispute, say for non-delivery, as I have done before when it was way past the window and not yet delivered. Either way, this will initiate the dispute process and you can show how you would like it resolved. Now at this point, be realistic. If you've bought clothing, for example, and the fabric isn't as heavy as you'd hoped, it's a lot more lightweight, then asking for a full refund isn't really fair, and it's likely to cost you more to send the product back to China. In that case, I would probably just chalk it up to experience and stop buying clothing online. Whatever you do, don't jump straight away onto the reviews section and give the product a 1 star, because at that point, you've lost all recourse to any refund. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to shut you out and say no. The fact is that these stores live and die by their star ratings. When there's so many third-party sellers selling the exact same product for such a tiny margin, they really do need to compete on the ratings. If their average rating drops just like 1 or 2 stars, you may find that the entire store just shuts down and reopens again with another name. That's quite common on AliExpress, so a lot of the stores that I've favorited have now just disappeared. Second, please shop with a little bit of common sense. Branded goods will almost certainly be counterfeit. If you see something that's branded on AliExpress and it's so cheap you just can't believe it, it's fake. And if you buy that, you really only have yourself to blame for being a bit of a buffoon. There are people who will take advantage of you anywhere in the world, and the fact it was a Chinese shopping site really means nothing. I should also note that if you do buy counterfeit branded goods, if you don't mind the fact that it's fake, and that's fine too, but if you do that, you definitely risk it being confiscated at customs. So is it just a case of you get what you pay for, blah blah? Yes, but the people who say that pretty much don't understand the typical retail markup. It wouldn't be unusual to find some generic items on AliExpress that cost maybe 10-20% of the price you're going to pay in a typical high street store. Remember that retail stores are going to take their own cut for staffing and premises and overheads, and they're probably also buying from a distributor who takes their own cut. All of these add up to a huge markup on products you find in shops. One more thing I wanted to pick up on briefly is import tax. You do have a legal duty to pay the import tax, whatever your country is, on that particular item. That said, most of the sellers on AliExpress will just out of habit mark an item as a gift and with a low value. And in that way, it passes through customs and you don't need to pay import. So right there, you've got a 20% saving over what you would pay in the shops. Now, I'm not condoning you do this, but it pretty much happens automatically when you shop on AliExpress. Most of the sellers, I think, have found that they get a lot of complaints if they put the actual value on it, and for their sake, they lie on everything automatically to get it through customs, and so they don't get complaints. Many people just don't realize that when you import something into the country, you do have to pay import tax on it, you do have to pay VAT. However, whether or not you're going to pay import tax is not entirely clear in some cases. So when you are looking at a product and you're thinking, oh, that's super cheap, do think how cheap it is if you added on another 30% to the price, which is what you'll probably end up paying when you account for the VAT for the import and for the handling charge of whatever shipping company it is. One thing I can tell you is that if you opt for express shipping services like DHL or FedEx, they have some very stringent policies in place and you will absolutely be required to pay that customs tax regardless of what the seller writes on the form. They will always charge you a certain fee and a handling fee for managing that. What this tends to mean is that products that are really cheap, like a $5 bit of houseware stuff, can end up being about $20 once it lands in the country, because on top of the, say, $1 fee that you would be paying, the Royal Mail at least then adds another £8 handling fee. And of course, you can't really open a claim against AliExpress for you getting charged your legal tax duty when it gets imported. So a couple of other random points I wanted to touch upon, some questions that frequently get asked. There is a system called Alipay, and that saves your credit card data. In 3-4 years of using that, I've never once had a problem. It's completely secure. It's basically the same kind of Apple Pay, but for China. And now it's incorporated into AliExpress as well. You're not obliged to use it, I don't think, but you might as well if you're going to make lots of orders. It does seem secure enough to me. For Brits watching this, if you're paying by credit card, you may notice that your bank adds on a fee if you pay in US dollars for the currency conversion. Personally, I use a Halifax Clarity credit card that has 0% fee, 0 added fees for anything in foreign currency. So check out your bank account and ask if they do a similar service, a similar credit card for international orders. It can be anything from 4% of the total charge to a fixed £4 fee, which is obviously ludicrous. Also, clothing sizes. If you're shopping online, you should obviously be savvy enough to know that an XL in American size isn't even the same as an XL in UK sizes. And in Chinese sites, that's even more extreme. Just using myself, for example, I typically buy XL in the UK. When my Chinese in-laws come to visit and they bring me some clothes, they're all marked as 5XL. No kidding you, it is quite embarrassing. So never buy on AliExpress just with generic size information. Always check for an exact sizing chart and make sure that the buttons you're clicking on, what size they are specifying. Many sellers will actually do customized fittings for you at no extra fee, so do get in touch with them. And at the very least, they'll tell you which size might be appropriate or whether any of them are appropriate. I know there's a lot of clothes on there that I'd like to buy, but I can't because they just don't go up to my, I'm not that fat. Whatever. Finally, while I would say, you know what, it's generally safe to buy anything on AliExpress, I will specifically call out hard drives, SD cards, and USB drives. They often will do a bit of a scam with the firmware where the reported size of the drive is a lot larger than it actually is. So if you buy a 64GB memory card, you may find it's only 1GB, but when you put it in your computer, it's still going to say 0GB used of 64GB. It does report the correct size because of some firmware hack, but you'll find when you try to write a large file on it, it will mysteriously just fail. So never buy hard drives, USB drives, or SD cards, any of that sort of thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this has cleared up some of your concerns, maybe told you a bit more about AliExpress that you didn't know. Again, I can only speak to what my experience has been. But throughout hundreds of orders, thousands of dollars worth of shopping, it's never gone that badly wrong. And when it has, I've always got a refund for it. In the comments, let us know how your experience has been. Have you been able to get that refund? Why not? Was the product you ordered completely wrong? Let us know what your experience was. Obviously, we can't do anything for you, but maybe you just want to get it off your chest. Like I said, in many years of shopping on the site, I don't have any horror stories to tell you. It's always had a happy ending. If you found this video useful in some way, please hit like, and if you're not already, hit subscribe. That would be awesome. Click on the bell too, and you'll be notified of our twice weekly gadget reviews and giveaways where we review and then give you the latest cool tech just because we can. Also, be sure to check out the main site, makeuseof.com, where we have loads of free PDF guides covering all aspects of computing, office software, Windows, Android programming, you name it, we've got you covered. Until next time, thanks for watching.